So we are back. We are here in the here now, or somewhere, or everywhere, or nowhere. Yeah, I came into creating some artifacts. So we are going from the oracle, as in the first video we talked about. We are going to talk about now the number 9, the resolution. So yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here, but I just want to show you. That's what I mean with string or wave, and it's a fractalization, so you can see some bigger mouse arrows in the more towards the center, and smaller ones towards the top. And this is just happening because it's overlaying mouse and so many times. And then we have that string that is like train. So that's a connection. That's how we connect. So it's basically like light or magnetic. You could say visible because it's bright. And the contrary would be, so if we would imagine that now the black background would be pulling that string slowly, but through its force or through its possibility to pull the string, but basically being like water, and the string would be like ships or whatever, something floating on it, and in a string copied by itself. Meaning so that we have the water, the background, that is controlling the wave, and therefore we have different movement probably than just this one. So not only sideways but upwards and downwards, and if we do spirals you get even more to see. Well, yeah, that's funny. Where is it? The thing today, you're gonna see a bit more of what appears to be me, and I would like to bring you up to speed, meaning that I would invite you to join me here in the orbit. So maybe we can go to the moon together, depending on how much you can let go and imagine to create that journey for yourself. So I invite you to come with me here as like 50% of the way, and I don't want to spoil you too much, but you need to figure out yourself the second part. Otherwise it will be just too boring for you to copy paste. Anyways, well, the mic is quite okay. Looks more or less. We have another space or room, and that will be if so basically the point here is to show you some. It's basically like a house guide. You could either join me in the orbit or here in the void, which is basically a mirror image of myself or ourselves, and there are some yeah, just watch the picture, the background. So I will step a bit away for you to see more, but basically that's the head. So that's more or less accurate. Yeah, like that, like this, more or less, like that. Yeah. So I would literally invite you to join the program Zoom. Then it's basically free, but you need to dial a number up to join this room here, and it can host up to 49 people. So let's see how long it takes to get there. In case we need to go there, I have no idea. So yeah, but basically that's the mirror room, or the void right in your face. And then we have like different ways of seeing things. So I think I mentioned that the mirror might be just in a very fractalized way in every single particle. So that's, let's say that's a nearment or a close up to that idea in terms of reality or doable media stuff by just one click. It could be an old movie as well. It just, why is that? That wasn't there. Yeah, it's not there. So the old movie has this blackish top left corner. Yeah. Yeah, if we imagine the older is containing a little spark of light or soul in itself, that would look probably like that. Yet it's more like an ant game. We miss the color, of course, so it goes even worse if we go this way, but that looks like the Alice in Wonderland setting, and so that this is duality. So if you see just black and white, and you always have to choose or want to choose, and therefore to judge, this is actually topic number 2 or number 2 as well. Well, as you can see, it's basically aligning in what I show you as a picture. So I show you the contrast in the duality of black and whitish, more or less orderly and evenly shared. So we could talk about peace in this regard. On the other hand, we know that this is not very yeah, I don't know how long we could stay in a reality that just looks like that in real outside. Like you leave the house and it looks like that, everything. So what else we have? Yeah, that's not so bad. Okay, I see something is not actually as I wanted, but yeah, anyways. Yeah, like very smoky, blurred. That's actually one I like too very much. So because it's called edges. Morph, swirl. Yeah, I'm actually spoiling quite some tech stuff here. That's also not so bad. So now we have the ant world and some color in it. Whoa. let's do it again. So we go from like a dark setting to boom. Yeah, nothing got destroyed, but it's just bam. Yeah. So that's actually the, well, I'm not doing anything, it's just pulsating. Interesting. Just my heartbeat, maybe. So yeah, depending on the resolution, if we would consider this as very low resolution, because it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16 by, I don't know, maybe, yeah, maybe 16 by 16 or more or less something like that, squares. That would be maybe 200, yeah, 256 of these squares split in either black or white, and that thing here would still be something that it's yeah, like me. And so that would be kind of a harsh world to live in. And if we go to this would be more like a night world. So maybe we can talk about dreams later on in this setting. And this one as, yeah, quite a bit down. Oh no, not really. Yeah, but it's nice. Yeah, about talking about resolution, meaning you can see how much more differentiated or fractalized in terms of colors and shapes. Again, this or that, very simple, abstract, or this one even dynamic. And so resolution means the potentiality for you to imagine and therefore manifest your reality at your liking or disliking, depending how much you are aware of your own power and trust there is in for you. So now when we have a more detailed picture, we can enjoy more in a sophisticated way, but also in a more horrible or terrible way in other areas, to come back again to the underlying duality or the second level before you basically find the solution to number one. And so basically you need to reach level 9 or number 9, or number 9 is standing for the term of change and or dynamic energy or flow, and so many different words. But actually change, to keep it simple, and change means that you have to surrender to change in general in all areas of your life, because that means that your body would be able to change in all areas as well, to either worse or better, depending on your journey or the road that is that you are taking and stepping day by day. So meaning that change of the situation here, which can be quite irritating or getting irritated. So maybe we can just go for this for a moment. So when we surrender to change, we basically confirm the trust that we know that after all the first 8 steps or levels or numbers we have gone through in ways of understanding with our part of the consciousness, that we are all connected with each other. So to learn and grow or to let go would be meaning the same, totally the same. And the resolution here gives you then the beauty or the horrors of your imagination, depending on the path you took already when you stepped the first level, and then the second and the third and the fourth and so on. So it's a chain reaction. It's that string that we saw in the beginning that basically is dynamic, and it's a flow. And if you can join your inner flow in all parts of your life aspects, meaning you think about it, you feel it, you act about it, and you are just aligned, totally one with the road. So you basically walk your talk, and there's a good story in it. As imagine that all the people today would just do really what they say all the time. We would have totally, completely world in very short time. Yet most of the time we find ourselves just speaking one thing and doing just a couple of minutes we do it, and then, or a couple of days or whatever, even weeks or months, probably years, but at some point we just let it go, and we actually drop it like it's not hot anymore. So why would we drop ourselves? That's more the accurate picture that we should face here. In regard to resolution, means if the picture that you see is actually again the picturation of you as a player or a character in a world that you have to dominate or whatever, control, then it's basically the zoom would be on that ego of yours, much more, and less likely than seeing more of the landscape, and basically seeing the smaller picture in a big picture, and therefore losing the resolution by zooming in. And that's again the focus that we have to completely let go to see the big picture. So we don't even see it as a physical picture with our eyes. In reality, it's more of an understanding and imagining of how everything is for you to be seen, no matter if everything is actually visible right now, because you're just at one part of the world and not at any other one. So I have to fix that now, because something you can't really see here that I would like to show. Why is that? What happened here? That's more how it should be. There's quite some pieces I'm missing here. So now we're gonna just, let's say, enchant the room, and just like that you see a little bit more. And I referred in the ending of the first video about this lamp here, over here. Yeah, you can see my finger. So this is in the casual way, like that. Just like, what's the name? It's not copper, it's the brass. I think it's brass. Yeah, so it's what happened? So now you see what I mean. So it's a brass, looks like a seed somehow, and yet it's a lamp when you can see that the light is fractalized into, looks like waves on the wall behind. So now this is going to be much more fun in terms of changing the vision or the perspective that we could take on anything. So that's what I'm doing here, by just doing a new setting, by in a second to let your mind free, set your mind free to do that and adapt to new circumstances and stay to your true self, because that's in the sooner or later game of our lives quite a piece of work for us to face. And I would like to offer you my assistance in that topic, that regard. So either asking me stuff or basically, it would basically, I think it would start with a question. I appreciate anything that comes in. There were already questions coming in, but I will just gather some more to add it to the picture. But now we just need the basics, so we're going through the principal numbers, and that will be the 0 to 9, and we start already with the oracle, and that was, as you imagined, 0. So now we are going actually backwards, so that's why 9 resolution. And the resolution here again, I would like to, this mouse is very loud, I know. Go to this, and so now you can see much more of now we can even try this. So yeah, this lamp looks like more now like a flower, or like quite some explosion. Yeah, look it as some way what we perceive or understand or however imagine being aura or radiation that can be seen but surely felt. So it's a fractalization, it's a splitting of the light from the from the containing all possible color into just one specific, and so we are able to see a rainbow and other ways of reflections, but yeah, by reflection actually being a separation, but that's the illusion, because we are both the illusion and the creator of the illusion. So what are you creating, what are you seeing in the big picture is basically your life, it's your experience. And if someone tells you that the average lifetime in your country is about, I don't know, 60-ish years, and you believe it your whole life, yeah, guess what what's gonna happen when you're 60-ish years old. But if you can find yourself getting to know your experience and your role, or how you perceive and participate in the reality or the society or nature, or whatever it's in your life, in your daily doings and thinkings, it's your responsibility, it's your abundance actually, and usually we are facing scarcity and fears that do actually hinder and oppose this freedom of choice. And so when you have a low resolution picture in number 9, then the change is harsh. And if it's a big picture and you see yourself just as a little piece of it, it's more likely that it will be much more fluid and fluent, and the change would be or like a wind. Yeah. So of course it could be a hurricane as well. So yeah, just be aware of that. What else to number 9? Yeah, if we can consider, as we spoke about the oracle, the zero, the all-containing, or the void, the black hole, and now being not there actually, but almost there, and that would be number 9. So the change would be not the nothingness, but the change, the process to arrive in the nothingness. If we would see the upward level going after 9, reaching 0 before you return to 1, if you go that direction into of the wheel. So yeah, we could change here the colors. I think that works now. Yep. So as you can see, this is just by light changes and one filter, or maybe a couple, I have no idea. This is going to create 3 times. So if we would be anxious about hands, you must be fearful 3 times by just seeing 3 hands now, or at least 2 most of the time. So this over-exaggeration, just proven here in this simple experiment, is actually quite reality in terms of what travels our mind. And we have the same issue of not letting go, or not accepting change, and therefore struggling or being hurt or somehow being dreaded through life, and not being in awareness, because we don't want to feel more or more intense of that pain, or whatever mind situation that you all are going through. So being connected within yourself to yourself would mean that there is nothing from outside that could irritate you and therefore interact or destroy the big picture of your existence. So if there is anyone or anything that is basically putting some fear in front of you up, it is a reflection of that fear that you carry around already, and that person is here to help you going through those fears. Yet if you don't face it, it's more likely that you are not solving the situation, and it's like unfinished business. And that can be a good thing, maybe not. It depends. It's just the thing. Fear is the worst enemy. It is the it's our nemesis. It's this opponent, this enemy of all of ours, that is a copy of ourselves, but as a shadow or like a ghost, or it's just that thing that seems not to be very to like ourselves, or both of us. We don't know, but we fight each other. The thing is that in the moment that we want to just even imagine that there is something or someone called like that nemesis, we create him or her in our reality already. So if we don't think about it, if we don't need to have it in the creation, in the daily business of ours, then there is no fight, and therefore there is no nemesis. There is the unity of the nemesis and you or us or everything together in a peaceful and different state of consciousness and experience. So it's a challenge, the big picture, to understand and to basically build up, because it's like a puzzle, and if you start the puzzle in the very early ages or years of life, in the early years of our lives, usually we question so many things, and we try out everything, and then we drop it, and then we try out something new, and then we drop it. And so mankind today, most of them don't really seem to be mature or grown up, because we really do the same thing again. We try something out, throw it away, and so much we generate trash and garbage to pollute. And if you just want to know that, just for an example of the mirror here, is that this pollution is happening inside of us and in our reality around us. So we share it outside and we share it inside, fractalized or partially as well. So in terms of smoking, it's quite easy. So if we have something somewhere burning woods or forests down, that would be like you have like a fire in your lung, or that you smoke or you pollute actually just with smoke your lungs. So that's an accurate picture. We actually pollute the big lung, that would be the atmosphere around the globe, around Earth. So and that will be then the collective I can't say accident, but because we know what we're doing, we just pretend to not know that what we are doing. So, but it's actually reversible. It can be balanced and stuff, but this needs again change. and that needs to be considered when we redraw or change actually the big picture. So the resolution, you better have a dynamic screen, we could say, that can display many different resolutions in very short time and in ongoing and lag-free, at least 60 hertz or more as a refresh rate, so you won't see any like frozen images basically, and it looks like more of a movie, so everything is flowing. So access to the flow, and trust that you're not meant to drown in the flow. That's not the reason why you would enter the flow. But of course you can also drown in water, and therefore you can drown in the flow in a good way and in a bad way. So it's also, again, depending very much of your intentions that you enter the game in the beginning. So, and how much you stay to the path. So that's number 9. Resolution. Is there anything else that I missed here? Yeah, we could go back to the picture and see if I missed anything. There's quite some more, I think. So just for the record, the zoom number in this trial run here would be 897581122. Zoom, ZOOM, and it's for free and stuff, blah blah. Yeah, let's just go shortly to the. Okay, I show you this. Yeah, how about that one? I like that one. Be right back. Well, I'm not leaving, I'm just looking up the picture, so. Okay. So that's loaded. Yeah, so we have number 9, resolution, entertainment. What does it mean, entertainment? Yeah, basically that's the ongoing change. So in case of, let's say, you're bored during whatever repetitive work or things you're doing during the days and maybe nights, which I mean sleeping without having a dream, or not sleeping much, or not in a good way. So basically that sleep would be useless. We don't need that much sleep, but that depends very much on the individual and how we are used to be going to sleep and stuff like that. Entertainment, yeah, that would be meaning like entertainment industries that keep us running with something, but it's always changing because that's what you're looking for, because otherwise it would just look like you look at the picture and nothing changes. So like no time, it's just like a 2D world which is not moving, and so yeah, let's take a look at your resolution. So how do you perceive things? Where are your limits? Where is your edge of the world? And are you a computer that can basically just run a new program or a new software update, or turn the hardware completely around, going from one to another system, or ecosystem, how they used to call it. So yeah, basically not knowing where you're going, that's what it means, change, but trusting that you will arrive in a better spot, basically, because, or at least in the same good, but different. So what else? Number 9, that's the top of it. To change, let go, and trust. Yeah, that's what we talked about, and that's the first video. That's the second here. Considering abundance, meaning letting go of the distraction or the illusion of dependency in number 9, if you haven't done it before. So at least here you need to let go of all of it. So yeah. And unfortunately, this would be also something related to what we call death, or the end of physical experience, in this immovable body at that certain moment of time. And yet is the question, not just now, but it might come up again, that is really true and just that has to be done or can be done, or is it also reversible? Is there really time going just in one direction? Is therefore a 2D dimension? And we just talked about the limitations of what we have when it's simple, but it's 2D, and yeah, that's the black and white squares image, so you don't want to go there. Yeah. What else can I do for you? A different image maybe will tell. Okay, we had that. Maybe this one. This is I think what is his name? Simon Peck or something? No, well, maybe Simon Peck, some guy on YouTube, and that's his idea. And basically, it's I would support this consideration of how it is. So you are, anyways. Then you do things or you don't. Then you think things, you don't. Then you have it or you don't. And then you want something, you already have enough. So when you understand here that everything you always needed is already here, so you have it. So it's on the left side of this border. So the wanting is just an irritation that's illusory, and it's not too well. You could say, yeah, it guides me. Yeah, of course, depends what you learn through this kind of guidance. If you want always things, and if this wanting is changing all the time, then the questions coming up: who is here not really happy with anything, and why, and is it just natural that we just do always different stuff, or is there something good in repetition? And I mean, yeah, that would apply to everything. I mean, if we want to achieve finally some state of world peace, that nobody gets hurt no matter what, then we don't need to question, now do we need to change that again? So that's what I mean. Stability or unity, oneness with all people is definitely one thing that we need to put in our focus much more in our daily life, and so act on it, because we see the purpose and the benefits of the achievement of a union of peace, basically, to gather forces and then direct in a beneficial way for all the people and the environment, nature and animals and stuff like that. So yeah, I wanted to show you here that the change is basically, if you imagine an onion, or like we have different kind of shells. The Russians have the, I think, babushka or something, like a figure in a figure in a figure, and so it figures itself out when you open it, and it figures itself in if you put them together. So but meaning that's the fractalization. We remember the mouse string either being the force or the wave, but being both 50-50 even, so to balance the potential. Maybe not in the visualist aspect, so that could be again like camouflage, that the darkness is just there to hide the more powerful core in it. So the core, and then we have that what the core does. It works, or it provides, it unites, it supports, and it loves, and it cares as our heart in the physical reality all day and all night, and we were not taught about the work of our heart that much, as there are so many good things waiting for us to see and understand. If you can feel and therefore communicate with your organs, to become more efficient in an energetic way. So that's considering the do aspect. We know that thinking is basically the work of the brain, and the brain stores in memory there, so that's traveling in the past, if we want to say so. That would be the moment, that would be the past, and intention or imagination would be then more likely here in what you do. So you don't do anything physically but mentally, but here think you're going back, so you're going into a different, let's say you're old-fashioned, you wear old clothes or whatever, like from the Middle Ages and stuff. No judgment on that, I mean, just for an example to what you can imagine here. After you're done with the past, of course you want to come back to the moment, and that would be then still the past, but again your probable future and the craving for to have. So you won't be satisfied because you thought you need to catch up and everyone else gathered stuff already. So yeah, you need to catch up and buy that, all these things as soon as you can. So your field of experience is very large, and through that expansion it's heavy, and it's quite a burden to carry around all day. So and yet this force seems to be driven from an outside source, as we want stuff that we don't have yet. And so you see the dilemma that it actually starts with the thinking, and then going to the having, and then to the wanting. As you know that most of the time, if you don't shoot anyone or don't attack or whatever right now in the moment, it's not going to happen to you either. I mean, I hope so, but usually you don't need to do that in any case. And so why should it happen to you when you basically curate your reality in the mirror? So as long as you don't take the gun or take a sword, nobody gets hurt, and that means you are not hurt. You're not getting hurt anyway as well. So the doing then needs to be in relation to the environment of who you are, or what is your capability or possibility as an entity, as human or as animal, or manifestation in materialistic terms speaking, and how that could relate to the existing matter or the surface of the planet, and what is your job, or what is your purpose, or what can you do, and this is also dynamic. Every ring of this is dynamic, so they can expand or go smaller. For example, if you live a life without having any or not that much materialistic cravings, this ring would be closer to you, so your forces would be more united, or not expanding that far, which would mean that it's more peaceful for you in the moment. So that would be a good thing. You are more centered to yourself, because centering outside here is like you center quite like a table or a plate, quite a big plate, and that's not really necessary when you travel. So if you want to stand still, you can become the biggest table you want to serve, to be there for others if you want. Otherwise, why becoming a table? Otherwise, if you travel, want to move, then it's much more an aspect of who you are, or if you haven't found yourself when you're on this journey, then it is the destination of yours to arrive at yourself. So yeah, nostalgia here, traveling in the past, but just mentally, will usually lead to doings and acts of nonsense, because not only nonsense, but most of the time we're just looking into the past, means mirrored in the reality, our idols or our people that guide the society are usually quite old people, like Einstein, and or whatever, whoever he's maybe turning himself and sick of how many times he's getting mentioned. So we leave him be and peaceful. So yeah, the thinking will create the having or the craving for to have and wanting again. So when you arrive here, yeah, would you have already know when you wanted to find yourself here that would you like what you see? What happens if you get scared when what you might find on the way going to the center? Basically, going to the center means to dive into the big picture that you have in the resolution, and when you dive into this picture, you find the focus. So you basically find what part of the picture you're always looking at, and therefore being stuck and not being aware of the changes that you need to do or that are happening into your environment, which is out of your focus, basically. So to become centered means to find your focus first, and then review if it's the right one. Usually you want to change that focus, because that's why you got there, and maybe it was just the right focus. So you will find out when you're there, and when you find that moment of the focus, basically the center where the lens is looking at, you can pull from that center by acting of changing the, where is that? So we have to change the scene for a moment, as I wanted you to show that. I wanted to show you that. So this one here, this here is what is it? Telescope. So you can watch things like that on the sea, or from wherever, something in the distance. You can close it up through a couple of lenses that magnify usually the picture that you are watching at. But as you can see, you can just magnify that small spot, but you can do it basically freely wherever you can turn your vision or your eyes at. So when you're basically attached, or when you're having an issue and you want to change that situation, you are basically watching something. That's the problem. So now the solution is to find, by basically, because you don't know actually where to look at, so you need to find that spot where the problem sits. Then you don't need to fight the problem, because that would just sustain the situation of you keeping watching the problem, because that is the problem, and you watching, that's the situation. So to resolve that issue is basically to watch the problem, then say, hey, good, it was nice to meet you, see you another day, or maybe not. Then you just center yourself, you basically you go into yourself, and when you're there, you just if you're not afraid, you basically can go closer to that issue, that what makes you afraid, and then pull away, or just change, because nothing is going to happen. It's just a watching situation. It's like that problem is not coming to attack the focus. It's your focus creating what you see. So in that way, it would be like a beamer, like a projector that with your eyes you project the 3D reality in your mind and different places. So either you face the problem and you go to it, or you distance from it, and therefore needing still to let go of the problem in your mind. And that's usually easier when you face it and go closer, because then you know, let's say, more in detail what was so fearful about it, or whatever, and then that will not so you grow on that. If you pull away, that's just usually an instinctive way of habits, a program that we are used to and trained to work, because that's the silly people. When you have just people that they are going nuts when someone cries bomb or something, then those people need help and support and security and blah blah. They are all depending, and so that's where we are heading. And so you're pulling away the lens from up front, so the problem might grow. Or the focus, the thing that you're focusing might grow, because you turn away, and then your mind, or at least your brain, will say, okay, we're not gonna talk about this anymore, meaning it will try to resist and keep it up. So that thing needs to become bigger if you let it. So, but if you can resolve peacefully and then switch your focus, everything will be totally fine, and you can do and repeat that again on another time. But again, not being basically abusive, again, because you need to be very flexible with this, and that's actually unconditional love. So the energy that you send out is this thing. It is like a light beam, or whatever you wanna call it. And you can contract it and reduce it, so you radiate less out, or you take more in, if you want to say so, or basically you just change the focus and play a different movie. Now it depends how much you got actually attached to the situation in the beginning. How hard it would be to leave the scene, because the scene might be so very beautiful and tempting that yeah, there would be totally no reason to leave, and yet you think you need to leave, and maybe it's just temporary to, yeah, and it's always just temporary to find yourself again. So contract together, switch the focus, watch something else, and that's just in your mind. So every single thought that we have and that makes us creates pain or fear is basically something in front of this lens here. Oh shit. So something in front of this lens that makes you keeping that one direction for a very long time. So in this regard, it's quite obvious that you or the one who watches is not very in control if something in front of the lens is basically make him look that way all the time. But if you can't, if you are able to basically, yeah, let go of it, and then probably just float away, or rise up, or whatever, levitate, or just be whatever. Dissolve, basically. To dissolve means that would be then your body, and that body has one focus: to live and to love and to experience as itself, to express him, herself, itself. And in the beginning it's small, then it grows up, then it contracts again like a heartbeat, and then it goes down to where it came from. The matter that we are is basically the resources of, it's basically the pixels of our physical reality is coming from the planet. So all the vegetables we ate and all that stuff, and the matter is, the manufacturer is Gaia, our Mother Earth, and we are just renting the car. So driving the car in some sort in a movie, which runs in your resolution, would make you a director, and it very much depends what kind of movie you're playing every day, or every day just one sort of movies that at least should make you happy or joyful, hopefully most of the time. Otherwise, why would you just hurt yourself? And yet maybe there's something to learn, and then it's always going to number 9, to let go, because when you're a baby, you're pretty damn sure, but you will never imagine it. Know that if there is not much really bad luck in your life, you're just gonna go and become old and have a long life, and so there is no need for fear. If on the other hand you're on the other side of the row, things might look quite differently, and then it's quite quite a question how we're dealing with it, and yet we don't really have much of a tribe behavior anymore. So we're not supporting each other in family systems that much anymore, like before. We don't even have the respect or honor or standards. It's very much everyone on its own, and most for him or herself first, no matter everyone or everything else, and this rules of behavior led to the situation that we have today. And so we basically, when we think, we think about the past, and that's why old people or elderly people rule our planet, and that's why they are afraid, and that's why they need to control, and as long as we just pick it up and repeat, it's not going to change. It's going to be worse, because it can be automated and professionalized and monetized and blah blah. And so change resolution, going back to to the sun, to the soul. Means basically by the words themselves that you are part of what you're going back to. So you must be a sun. And I'm not talking about S-O-N, but S-U-N. So now why should the light be afraid of the dark? Why ever? Because it can't see itself. Because it's hidden in the dark. But the dark can see everything. Because it's looking like the light is looking through it to see. And therefore, that's the eye vision. How long do we run this? Oh, 1 hour again. Yeah, so something for short end. Number 9 means a 0 with a monkey tail on it, and that monkey tail gets eaten up by the 0 on the top. So that would basically be your physical body melting into light, raising up, not just gathering first in the heart, then raising up into your head where the small soul or the soul is, the one that is going through number 9 and basically sits on cloud number 9 up there. So yeah, it is very much likely that number 9 is very close to the void. So we could say it's the source of the void, and therefore it is quite likely like the void and attracting and pulling, and that means it will need to give as much as it pulls or takes. And yeah, what about no, nothing about anymore, I think, for today. So that was more or less quite a cross-country trail today. I will review it shortly, most probably, and then you will see it too. Next video will be number 8, Infinity, and maybe some backflash to other numbers as well. Maybe I just shut up because I'm just blah blah now. So thank you for listening and watching and stuff. You could have done it without me, but yeah, still nice for you to be here, and yeah, we see each other again, we hear each other, and thank you.